What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Nerd Cave News, the one-stop shop for all the video game news that you need to know. I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined along with in the white mist frost. You can
Ooh,
find
okay.
all manner of magical creatures, yet the most magical of them all is Fluffernutter the Jackalope.
Fluffernutter the Jackalope. Definitely that's a great one. Especially like that start to that exposition was great. I felt like I was reading a book.
It is. It
So
is like a book. And, if only someone would write a book about Fluffernutter, the jackalope, and
right.
then record said book in audiobook form, they could put it on a platform just like our sponsor, Audible. Audible,
Oh yes.
you can get books, magazines, podcasts, all of these awesome things,
What?
guys. And I've used Audible for years. I've used Audibles for
Mm-hmm.
years and I have enjoyed it. And they have an amazing assortment of books and whatever you want. You want Star Wars? Guys, they got Star Wars. Most of the Star Wars books that I've listened to in the last 10 years or read have been audiobooks. It's hard for me to just open up a Star Wars book. I'm like, I want to hear Mark Thompson. Mark Thompson, oh my God, that guy can narrate. I'm currently listening to episode 9's audiobook, and man, Mark Thompson, he's great. He's great, guys. You can go over to audibletrial.com/nerdcave and get your free 30-day trial for Audible. You get to go listen. You get a credit. Go grab you a free book, guys. You like to take back your time. You're washing the dishes
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, man, I could be entertained right now. Derek, you could be entertained right now.
Yeah, I
You
could.
could.
I could, especially since when I have to fold all the laundry
I,
sometimes, it's like I need
yeah,
entertainment.
you're cutting the grass. You're fixing those gutters. The wife's been yelling at you, fix the gutters. Guess what? You can do it while
That
listening.
would be that would just be on your side, Sarah.
Guys, go to audibletrial.com/nerdcave. Get your free 30-day trial. We read.
Build it beautiful.
Now,
Now I have two questions pertaining to Audible.
okay.
One is for me.
Okay.
And I meant to look it up before you read
Mhm.
off before we got on, but I didn't.
Okay.
You said, audiobooks, magazines, the lot. But what about and I pretty much know the answer because of specific stuff. What about manga?
I don't know. I haven't ever looked for manga on there. It would be
Right.
interesting. It would be
I would imagine because of the pictures and you need like the setting and like the facial expressions and whatnot. I would pretty much probably say no unless they actually like detail what's happening in the scene. But it'd be nice to know.
yeah, I'm not sure. I've never heard of a manga being turned into an audio version, but if
Yeah,
anyone would have it, I can guarantee you it would be Audible. If there's a
exactly.
market for it, Audible will have it. And you said you had a second question.
Yes, and I think in the comments, I think Dan answered it, but you mentioned the name of can so you can basically pick who you want to narrate the book, right?
Um, like there are like narrators that they get,
Hmm.
they pick for the books, but you can see,
Hmm.
okay, there's narrators that are really good. There's some narrators that are not very good. So if you can see it and like, and there is like a little sample that you can use as well. You can hear it and be like, okay, I don't really like them. Some do voices like
Hmm.
Mark Thompson. Oh my gosh, he does voices and they're great. They're great. He sounds like the actual characters. So
Nice.
yeah, I love
All right, Dan, you smart aleck. I know it's called anime.
it.
I watch it religiously. At the same time, there are certain instances, like just to get off on a tangent, real quick. I watched Promise Neverland.
Mm,
See, rewatch season one, watch season two, and the show is done. Manga's 180 something chapters, and in season 2, like, it started off well, but then the last like 4 or 5 episodes, they crammed like 100 plus chapters of content in the last one and pretty much wrapped up the show. So I want to go back and actually read the manga to see what's all missed and how it makes sense, and if it's how much different it is from the anime. So that's why I asked Dan, sir, don't at me.
There you go.
Love you, man.
There you go. There you go. And guys, here is the Audible trial in the chat for you. Get your free 30-day trial. But guys, you're saying I want to support the Nerd Cave, but you know, I want to become something more. Derek, where would they go to become something more?
They would go to patreon.com/nerdcave to be part of the exclusive crew, just like our wonderful crew members, Brandon Hicks, Richard Newell, Daniel Sanford, Rushing Waters Yoga, The Conductor, Marilyn James, and Brittany, the Granny Bee Harrison.
Guys, you can also find us on a variety of platforms such as Twitch, YouTube, and the TikToks. Watch us each and every week for our pre and post show shenanigans, abridged, or go over to YouTube to watch the edited version of the show. And if you like bite-sized nuggets of gaming news, check us out over on TikTok. Just search Nerd Cave Network on any platform and you will find us. And Derek, we are officially back in the game of TikTok.
Yeah,
we're back in the game of TikTok because Zacharu has been putting out content like nobody's business. Like,
back again. Guess who's back? Tell a friend.
You also know what else is back, Derek? Our game club. For 2 months in a row, guys, we're running Rise of the Tomb Raider. It is going to be our October game club game for the month. So if you haven't caught up, you know, it's okay. It's okay. You know, some people will try to judge you. Some people will try to point to one person and say, it's because of them we didn't get a new game for the game club of the month. And I would say, that's probably right. And I'm the one that runs the show. So there you go. So Rise of the Tomb Raider is our October game club game of the month. So get caught up today and November, guys. We're going to have a crack-a-lackin' new game ready for everybody. And if you are just joining, come now.
Dan's coming with the shots for both of us.
Dan is going to get banned tonight. I can already feel it in my bones.
No, don't ban him. Don't ban him. You can't ban our patrons. Or excuse me, our crew members.
I can dismiss him for the night.
Oh, no.
You're dismissed. Dan chose violence this morning. Dan chose violence this morning. Guys, let's get into the gaming discussion for this week. First up, the Xbox Tokyo Gameshow has got some news. First up, the Cloud. Yep. Cloud gaming streaming, game streaming coming in Australia, Japan, Mexico, and Brasilia. Jeez.
You did the perfect too. It's like sandwich. It's like mess up and
let's try A again, guys. Cloud game streaming coming to Australia, Japan, Mexico, and Brazil tomorrow.
Yeah. So, you know, they had their Tokyo Game Show, like, and a lot of these we can just like go through real quick. Is that, are you having a stroke?
No, it's the Lord.
But you know, they made this announcement at the Tokyo Game Show. Nice to know that they're expanding, and Japan and Mexico makes sense because Mexico, they've done like a lot of game like showcases like there. I think the last time they did I think it was London last year, but one of the years they did Inside Xbox was from Mexico. They've tried to build a relationship there, and ironically enough, Forza Horizon 5 takes place in Mexico this year.
Hey, there you go.
And Japan, because, you know, the next one, Phil Spencer wants to increase its Japanese game lineup, you know, and that's how to make goodwill with that, because that's always been Xbox's, like, Phil Spencer has been on this, increasing its Japanese affiliation for years. Like, we've seen the last several years at E3, they've always shown off, like, a Bandai Namco game or, like, a big Japanese-centric studio game. And in about that section, excuse me, if my acid reflux calms down, Phil Spencer says that Xbox is working, quote, every single day to increase our lineup of Japanese games, end quote, in order to, quote, help bring Japanese games around the world. It's an honor to support TGS and our Japanese partners. We're working with Japanese publishers every single day to increase our lineup of Japanese games on Xbox. We know it's really important to fans and customers on Xbox. Early in, let's see, Japan, blah, blah, okay. So yeah, it's nice to see them branching out and wanting to, and this is just to diversify their
Yeah.
portfolio, right? Get more out there because Sony has had the market on JRPGs for
Yeah.
years, probably decades, and Xbox is like that's one thing Xbox is not good because yes, it's more of an American based, and there's not a lot of Japanese market in the Japanese market. There's not a lot of Xboxes being sold. It's always been PlayStation or Nintendo products being sold out there.
Yeah.
But I think this is a twofold for Microsoft. It's a twofold for them and the Japanese market. They want to create a relationship to have more games, to build a diversity, and in doing so, enticing more people to buy Xbox over these other two platforms.
Yeah, and just like you said, for years Xbox has struggled to get a foothold in there. Nintendo and Sony are from Japan, so they get kind of a leg
Yeah.
up. They know how to market into that region. So I'm glad to
Yep.
see Xbox, Phil Spencer, holding it down as always, doing the right things, and I'm excited. And I can't wait to see what they do here in Japan. Moving
Yeah.
on, Tango Gameworks is developing a new game. Evil Within 2 director is leading it.
So it's funny because Deathloop just came out, right? But before, back in their E3 showcase, Arcane already showed what they're working on in that Redfall game, the vampire game. Um, and now Ghostwire Tokyo is coming out spring of next year. Presumably, I'm going to say it's going to get delayed again, probably till summer, but that's a wait and see. But it's interesting that they're already having another project. It's sort of like Xbox is like, all right, you finish up these projects, but we want you to start immediately working on stuff for Xbox now. Um, Shinji Mikami expressed his hope for the future of Japanese games, stating that his studio actively sought to give young talent a chance to create new concepts. When asked to highlight a specific name, he mentioned two: Kenji Kimura, director of the upcoming Ghostwire Tokyo, and John Johannes, director of the Evil Within 2. He added that Johannes is, quote, hard at work at a new game, but did not elaborate. So, do you think, because Tango Gameworks has gotten in, of course, they did both Evil Within 1 and 2,
Mhm.
and now they're doing Ghostwire Tokyo. Both of those are sci fi. Evil Within is more psychological horror. Ghostwire Tokyo is more of like a sci fi horror game. Do you think that this new game they're working on is going to be more in that same genre, or do you think they're going to branch out and do something different?
I feel like they said new game. That doesn't necessarily mean that it is a new IP. So we could be
Yeah.
seeing an Evil Within 3 because Evil Within
Yeah.
2 came out in 2017. So it would be a
Yeah.
great time to see a third one come into that series and everything. And with the director that led the last one, it makes perfect sense. So
Yeah.
if I was a betting man, I would go with Evil Within 3 rather than a new IP, because usually
Yeah.
anytime with a developer, they always want to tout, oh, we're working on a new IP if it's a new IP. Like they don't say, oh, we're working on a new game if it's not a new IP.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, and who knows? They could be keeping it close to the vest because we didn't even know Arcane was working on a new IP until E3. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of in league with you, but I heard like Evil Within 2 didn't really sell that well. Like it was a better.
It was a
I don't say better. It was a more polished
yeah.
game than Evil Within 1, but there were some things that people didn't like that they did, like try to make it like hub world type thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I, I would love to see a third entry into Evil Within because I think there's a lot of promise there, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do a new IP altogether.
Yeah.
So,
We'll see. We'll see. Time will tell.
yep.
Moving on, Scarlet Nexus and more are headed to Game Pass. Redfall, Starfield, and more will be localized for Japan.
Yeah. So it's both of those are interesting. Like Scarlet Nexus, like they've had the like again another Bandai Namco game that was marketed at Xbox's conferences, and had all the marketing up until release back in June. So it makes sense that it's on Game Pass now. And the other games that'll be coming will be AI, the Somnium Files, the Mighty Goose are all playable. Those three are playable today. And upcoming Game Pass titles will be Back for Blood those are their ones that for their holiday lineup. But the Redfield, Starfield, what else? Like that basically since they bought Bethesda, they're trying to localize them and spread them out because I'm sure Europe, America, and some other countries, but I don't know if they ever came to Japan. I'm sure like Evil Within and will be, but it's nice to know that other ones like more like American based IP or like games like this is going to be coming because let's see what does it say here? Does it say anything else outside of Bethesda, Starfield? No, that's all. They just promises more,
Yeah.
but they headline Redfield and Starfield, which are going to be their arguably Bethesda's next two big games.
Yeah, and localization takes time. It's not just translation. It is like making it where the dialogue and everything actually makes sense in that language. Because
Yeah.
like you've got some
Right.
places where like they translate it, but they don't localize it. And it's like this makes no sense at all. So I'm glad to see that happening. Again, Xbox killing it.
Because you see that on the other side. Because you see that on the other side, like with anime, right? When you watch subbed, it's like there's some like subtitles that don't make sense with what the rest of the dialogue is saying. It's like this is a bad translation.
Next up, Sweries. Sweries, yes, we'll go with that.
Yeah,
The Good Life gets an Xbox exclusive demo.
Yeah, so the game is coming out on October 15th, and again striking a deal. Yeah, I think you see a lot of themes with at the Tokyo Game Show. It's like we want Japan to love us, It's like so we're gonna give you some stuff because Swery is the one I believe that does like they did the cult hit. I say that guy with a red hood with eyes. Oh my goodness, why did this leave me now?
I'm looking it up.
Hold that thought. So.
Deadly Premonition.
Yes, that was the one. Thank you. They did the cult hit Deadly Premonition, and they just did a sequel. What was it, earlier this year, late last year? But they did a sequel to it recently. So they're one of those like cult hit does the weird out there type of games. The Deadly Premonition was a horror series, so Good Life seems to be more like a laid back type of game. I hope maybe it has a horror twist secretly embedded in there. I don't know, but cool. The demo's out now, I guess.
Hey, if you're into it, go check it out, guys. Eternal Run gets a release date and a trailer at the Tokyo Game Show, and we're going to take a look at Eternal Run's trailer, guys. So here we go.
It's like a typical anime cast.
Yep.
Eternal Return, my fault. So I put Eternal Run in the dock. Oh well.
It's all good.
So it's Eternal Return. That kind of game, obviously it looked like one of those top down like strategy type games where and it gave me, I don't know if anyone's watched the anime, but very Danganronpa vibes where it's like, oh, Danganronpa is like you have a bunch of these elite high schoolers that are good at one thing, and then it's like a murder mystery game trying to figure out who killed who and trying to get out alive. So when I see the names get crossed off, I'm like, all right, Danganronpa.
It reminded me of XCOM, where like it would be like
Oh,
permadeath
yeah.
and everything. So and it kind of like even had that same kind of like map layout and everything. So maybe it's a cross
Right.
of it. I'm not 100% sure. Um so let us know what you think about Eternal, was it
Return.
Return, not Run.
Yeah. 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 By the way, Dan and Murdoch
I
said there
got
was
it.
no audio for the
I
video.
got it now.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Moving on, guys. Guardians of the Galaxy developer provides breakdown of the exploration and combat in new trailers, and I'm hyped for this. I'm hyped.
Yes.
Like next month, we're going to be getting these games, which you'll be seeing this if you watch this on the replay in October.
Hmm.
So this month, we're going to be getting these games, and I'm stoked.
Right.
So this is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. This is the exploration trailer that was shown.
Hi, I'm Patrick Fortier, Senior Gameplay Director on Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. In this video, we're going to take a quick look at some of the things you can do in leading the Guardians outside of combat. The Milano's your home. Walk around its many rooms to get more familiar with the Guardians. Pay attention and you'll even come across a few surprises.
Definitely like the little hub area from Avengers,
Yeah.
your base, so.
As the story unfolds, you're going to discover many exotic planets and iconic Marvel locations. Just like in combat, using the Guardians will be key to overcoming environmental puzzles.
Okay. I like that.
Hang out with the Guardians or
Yep.
get caught in a battle of wits with one of Marvel's many cosmic characters.
This thing on?
For better or worse, you'll make calls, pick sides, and your choices will define your relationships with your team.
I was thinking the same thing. Blue alien llama.
Right.
As you earn ability points, choose which Guardian to upgrade based on your playstyle.
Okay.
At the workbench, you can use the crafting parts you found to have Rocket upgrade your gear or unlock new perks.
I like that too.
Mhm.
Outfits in the game, from comic accurate to brand new designs for you to customize your crew's look.
Let's take these freaks to church.
And of course, that's the MCU skins.
As always,
Okay, so there's like crime and all of that as well.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, October 26th. So that's the exploration. We'll get into the next one here in just a second. What did you think about that, Derek?
I like it. I'll say, especially like, my biggest thing was like I knew there would be hub worlds on the planets we go to, but it's like, what can you do in the ship? Can you build a relationship with the Guardians? Because you're just playing a Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Which means, and you can, as we'll see in the next trailer, you can issue commands to the Guardians, but it's like you can't play as them, so you can't use them. But I do like how you can still upgrade them, and they each have different abilities, and then you can upgrade. There's always a reason to do something. So I wonder how much resource management will go into the crafting of your items.
Yeah.
And I also wonder, there's going to be choice dialogue, a la like Life is Strange, Telltale games, but will there be like a karma system to like the choices? Like I know it'll affect your relationship with your team, but will there be a karma system that develops a relationship with like other factions, like the Ravagers or whatnot?
That would be cool. Like, not just the companions, but the world overall and everything.
Yeah.
For me, like spending points to upgrade your crew and everything, I'm curious if there's going to be a limited amount of skill points that you can get, so you have to really make make conscious decisions based on your play style. It's like, okay, I really like using Groot in combat because he can do area effect or whatever, and it's like you pour more into Groot because the others don't really like, you don't use them as much. Or is there plenty of skill points and it's easy to max everybody out? So like at times I like that it will be like that, where it's like, okay, I have to manage this a little bit more. Other times I like to just have everybody just like OP and everything. And to Joe's question, it will be on the PlayStation 4. So October 26th.
Yeah, Yeah, so it'll be coming to PS5, PS4, Series X, Xbox One, and even Switch via the cloud.
Via the cloud. So, guys, let's take a look at the combat gameplay that was also shown off. Let's jump into this trailer.
Hi, I'm Patrick Fortier, Senior Gameplay Director on Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. In our game, you play as Star-Lord, and in this video, we're going to take a look at how you call the shots in combat. Although the Guardians have a mind of their own, you can call on them.
Your team's like your weapon wheel.
Yeah.
Roles in some of their abilities. Rocket's the explosive specialist. With his guns and grenades.
Definitely not a raccoon.
Groot's the protector of the group.
The less
Finds and
plural.
can mobilize enemies and set up the team for powerful attacks. He's also got the unique ability to bring back fallen Guardians.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
Charging headfirst into danger, he's at
Figured.
inflicting stagger damage and stunning enemies. Gamora takes out enemies with finesse and fury. She dishes out massive health damage with deadly single-target attacks. Star-Lord has a daring and versatile combat style. Use your jet boost to zip around the battlefield or get a bird's eye view while you strategize.
Like, it looks very complex.
Right.
Like, there's depth to it.
As the story unfolds, you'll unlock the 4 elements, each with their unique advantages. As you progress through the game, you'll have to combine these abilities into devastating combos to overcome the many cosmic threats in our
I was just about to say.
I like that. That looks cool, man. Like, just being like the depth of the combat, that it's not just, okay, I'm just going to be hitting, like you think about Marvel's Avengers, it was just like, okay, I'm just hitting this button over and over. Like, you had some stuff, but it wasn't really as in depth. You didn't control the people around you or anything. It was pretty much just like,
Right.
so this is more like X-Men Legacy, Marvel Ultimate Alliance kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I was about to say Ultimate, because I was going to say, like, I know they had some of the early ones too, but just, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is the most recent one out. The more you had in your team, or the different types of characters you had in your team, the cooler combos you could pull off. And that was going to be my question, is like, if you use multiple Guardians at once, can you pull off awesome combos? And they answered that.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of combos I create. Like, I wonder if you can change like the different abilities each one uses, and like, will that result in different combos, like different like stat boosts or whatnot?
Yeah.
So
I'm like, how as you upgrade something, like the attack will just get bigger and more crazy and all of that. So I wonder, it's like, okay, well, I don't want to just put all my points into one, because I want to get this really cool combo if everybody's at this point on their weapons or their skills and everything. So man, it looks really cool, guys. I'm
less than a month away.
It can't get here soon enough. Another thing that can't get here soon enough is our next one. Pokemon Legends Arceus has deep customization options and noble boss fights. The trailer reveals a new Scyther evolution, which I was stoked, because Scyther, not a lot of people are like, oh, Scyther's my favorite. Like, Scyther's always looked cool. He's always looked cool.
Yes.
Always looked cool.
100%. And even when they gave him his evolution from Johto to Scizor, that looks cool too. Like, that was the first time you saw like the metal archetype.
Yeah.
And then it's like a metal bug Pokemon. What is this?
Yeah. So here is the encounter noble Pokemon in Pokemon Legends Arceus. I like the music.
Mm-hmm. G-Sweet region.
Is he playing a straw?
Looks like looks like it.
Okay, that was cool.
Yeah. Wonder if these are like the equivalent to like gym leaders.
I think so. I think that's I don't know. Everybody seems sad.
Yeah, right.
All the-
Or like serious. I'm like, y'all could be happy. It's a Pokemon game.
okay, she's happy. So you can even craft your own potions now.
Yep.
Okay.
Which is nice.
I like the customization. Let's go. Let's go.
But now, can you customize the look of your Pokemon? That's the real question.
Okay, I like the photo mode here.
Yep.
Well, that dude looks big.
Oh, goodness. Electivire.
The frenzied Pokemon, showing a little bit more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
All right. All right.
All right.
Cleaver. Bug Rock. Okay. That's a big Joker, too.
I know. You got your little baby Pokemon there, and he's just like whooping up on them.
Right. He's like, do something. What do you want me to do?
Axe Pokemon.
Oh.
All right. Man, it like every time we see Arceus, like the more stoked I am for January 28th. Like the more I'm
Me
stoked
too.
for it. The exploration, the wardens, like I'm wondering, like you said, are they going to be in place of gym leaders? Like, is that,
Right.
are we getting that, or are they kind of like your mentors?
Right. And yeah, mentors, maybe they teach you the moves, like, you know how you have to find the HMs and
Mhm.
TMs throughout a lot of the other games. Wonder if they do. This is like before HM and
Yeah.
TMs were a thing.
Yeah.
I do wonder, with, because we saw the Scyther evolution and they're talking about noble Pokemon. Those are pretty much going to be boss fights.
Yeah.
Are these going to be like, I wonder how many they're going to be. And I wonder if these are going to be like a la Breath of the Wild, like the Guardian battles.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like we've had, like the legendary Pokemons, like you would eventually get to them, or like Mewtwo in the originals. Like you would have these Pokemon that you would find in the wild that are not your run of the mill. It might be the only version of them. So I think that
Right.
might be more of it, but they're also frenzied. I
Yeah.
it's like you can't escape this. Like you could never run into Mewtwo in the original games if you never went there.
Yeah.
So I think this might be more of like, you're going to encounter this because we're going to put you in harm's way. To dance
I'm about to say it's going to be a story 6. I was
Dan's point.
really about to just
family friendly Pokemon who can decapitate you. It's
Yeah, the best.
you want to be the very best, you got to pay for it.
Right.
You want to be the head of the game, you got to be willing to lose your head.
Everyone wants to be at the top of the mountain, but they don't want to do the work to get there.
Mhm. Very, very true. Speaking of top of the mountain, let's move into the PlayStation news for the week. First up, Sony has been working to include the PlayStation 5 games on PS Now and suggests a new patent.
So, Sony Interactive Entertainment has filed a new patent that indicates the format holder is looking to bring PS5 games to PS Now. It's cloud-based streaming service that allows users to stream and download content. The PS5 launched back in November, but due to the shortage of components and manufacturing the new console, that this probably isn't surprising. However, the new patent, which is for a ultra high-speed, low-latency network storage, hints that work is ongoing to allow for PS5 games to be streamed via PS Now. The filing specifically mentions utilizing multiple NVMe drives, which just so happen to be the type of storage drives used in the PS5, networked together to stream games. Sony hasn't announced anything about bringing PS5 games to PS Now yet, but it seems like a solid strategy going forward. Um, while the patent itself was published only recently, Sony filed it back in April, which suggests this has been in the works for a while. I mean, it only makes sense
Mm-hmm.
to bring the PS5 library. It's very obviously you kind of think, well, why did it take so long? But I mean, infrastructure for these type of games
Oh
takes a
yeah.
while. I wonder because if you can, all you need is a compatible for the PS4 versions, right? All you need is a compatible DualShock 4 controller, but you can stream PS Now on tablet,
Mm-hmm.
and some other devices. I wonder if they will allow it. I know they added for some PC games like a month or so ago that we reported on that you can use the DualSense controller compatibility. So I wonder if they'll let it use it for PlayStation Now. And I'd like to know what games will come with it. I know they added when they started to get serious about PS Now, they said you could download some games now. I wonder if that will be the case starting off with the PS5 games if and when they get added.
Yeah, I know, like with Now, our neighbor had it for a little while, and he would download the game because it would just be more stable. There wouldn't be as much lag to it. So I hope that they do. I'm gonna call it right now. Okay, Derek. Here's
Okay.
my get hyped moment
Okay.
for the stream. When they launch this, this will be their competitor to Game Pass. They're quietly saying, "Oh, we're just including PS5," but they're putting new patent stuff in there. This is going to be their Game Pass the competition right here. This is what it's going to be.
I-
They're doubling down
I-
on PS Now.
I was gonna say like I thought that's where you were going with. So how like I'm not a betting man,
Okay.
but would you be willing to bet that they like say the patent gets filed, they're through this, and they announce it, let's say Game Awards, right?
Yep.
That's one of their big Game Awards announcements. How crazy would it, or how is it in the realm of possibility that they say, oh, we're gonna include our biggest exclusives day one on the PS Now, starting with Horizon Forbidden West?
I wish they would, but PlayStation doesn't
Yeah.
have to play that card.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
the thing is like they don't have to play that card because their games sell their consoles.
Yeah, that's true.
Unlike Xbox, Xbox has done a ton of work and they've got an amazing system, and with Game Pass is the best deal in all of gaming, 100%.
For sure.
But Sony's games sell their consoles. The only reason I bought
Yeah.
a PlayStation 3 was to play God of War 3.
Yep.
And it's so many of the games that I've played is just because like it's on PlayStation,
Man, you didn't get to play the best God of War, Ascension?
Me and you played
can't even say that with a straight
played
face.
Ascension when it came down, and it killed your PlayStation.
I was about to say it was so bad that it killed my PS3.
So that's my thought on this. I don't think they put things day in day on this. I don't think they
Yeah.
have to. If they did, man, that would be absolutely insane, man. Insane.
Yeah.
But I think this will be their step towards their Game Pass competitor. So
Yeah. So, I mean, the only reason now it would be dumb because it would definitely undercut the PS4 owners. I could see them doing it for the PS5 version of Horizon Forbidden West to quell as I look. We know there's not a lot of PS5s in the wild because the only reason so here's a peace offering to the ones that have it. The only reason I don't think they'll do it for PS4 is because there's hundreds of millions of PS4s
Yep.
and they don't want to lose out on that much revenue.
See, I don't think they do it for the PlayStation 5. It's like, hey, because you bought one and you were the select few, we're sorry. Like, that doesn't really make sense. It's like,
That's true.
it's like, hey, you got a PS5, come play Horizon, buy it right now. Like, I don't think that there's no reason to apologize to the people that already
Right.
own them. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but I'm excited. I'm excited that they're continuing to push PS Now. They're not just letting it die like they did with PlayStation TV. So we'll see. We'll see. Moving to a game that I'm going to start playing next Monday on stream.
Ayo.
Kana Bridge of Spirits developed on post-launch plans, hints at new combat scenarios, and the game may come to other formats beyond the PlayStation and PC.
Right, which the latter one makes sense because, you know, Ember Lab is not owned by Sony. They probably just did a partnership, and it makes sense for it to come to other consoles down the road. It didn't really list how soon or what consoles. I think it would be definitely a great game on the Switch for sure. Especially with especially with on the go. But as far as the post-launch stuff, Mike Greer, co-founder of Kana Bridge of Spirits, developer Ember Lab, has revealed that the team plans to support the PS5, PS4, and PC platformer post-launch, hinting that we may see updates to photo mode as well as new combat scenarios. Speaking with IGN's Next Gen Console Watch, Greer made it clear that there are plans for Kana Bridge of Spirits beyond the few updates we've seen since launch. However, he wouldn't go into any specific detail. Quote, "We definitely want to support the game. We know that people love the photo mode and the combat, so we're thinking about things that we can expand to expand new combat scenarios and maybe some additional content in the future featured around combat. Yeah, I think we want to make some updates to photo mode. People have been asking for certain features that would be easy to do, so I think we will be supporting Kana for a while."
I
I like
hearing
it.
that.
You know, the photo mode, you know, it's been Sony's staple for a while now, so they have to feed the fans on that, you know, to get them to use it.
Yeah.
I think, you know, more combat scenarios are great because from what I've played, there's not going to be a lot. Like, of course, there's like two big story moments where you help with certain spirits, and then I think there's going to be after that, there's going to be the big final boss. So I would love to see more of this world explored, like if they're talking about new combat scenarios, like new spirits to help guide on and whatnot. Like if it's as lengthy as the two I'm doing right now, I'm down for it. Now I wonder if it will be free or like if they're going to be smaller, I want them to be free or like not expensive at all.
Yeah.
If they're going to be bigger chunks like in-game stuff, I would be willing to pay for them if they're going to be of that caliber.
Yeah, and I haven't played the game, but I'm all down for companies supporting their game after launch. You know, free stuff is always great. If it's big enough to warrant a paid DLC, hey, you know, more power to you. Just, you know,
Right.
like don't charge for something that's not worth anything. That's my
Right.
biggest thing. So I'm
100%.
I'm stoked. I can't wait for it. Monday is going to be great getting to play Kana Bridge of Spirits. But
I'm excited for you.
I am too. Moving on though. Sony working on multiplayer Marvel title is likely a PS5 exclusive.
And that's a rumor going around. They're just keeping hits. Like, first of all, like how many Marvel games have we gotten announced over the last couple of years? You know, it started with Avengers, and now we've got actually started with Spider-Man, then went to Avengers. We're getting more you know, we got Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2 down the road, Wolverine down the road, and we got Midnight Suns. We got Guardians of the Galaxy next month. So it's like both of these are rolling, and now it's like they're doing multiple. It's like how much did not Marvel, Sony pay Marvel to get all these exclusivity deals? But according to Xbox Era co-founder Nick Baker, Sony is working on a multiplayer-centric Marvel game that will likely be exclusive to the PlayStation 5. Nothing has been confirmed yet, obviously, but there has been speculation that Insomniac Games is the studio behind the new project. Again, Insomniac. This would make a lot of sense, seeing as how they've had great success with Marvel Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Quote, "I have been told that there is a multiplayer Marvel game allegedly in the works that will probably be a PS5 exclusive. Between my source and I, we speculate that the studio possibly making this game is Insomniac Games, but this is speculation." If this is true, like, first of all, I don't think it's Insomniac. I think their boat is
Oh yeah.
what's the word? Not boat, but they have too full of a load with Spider-Man 2 coming in 2 years, and then followed by Wolverine possibly 3 years after that. I mean, even if it is Insomniac, they have been hitting the ground running
Oh yeah.
even before Sony bought them, because they've done Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Man Remastered. They just put out Ratchet and Clank about 4 months
Yep.
ago now. And now they got Spider-Man 2 in the works and Wolverine. So it's like, guys, you don't have to prove anything. We know you're good. Take a break. Even when they did the showcase, Blessing said when it showed Insomniac, he's like, take a break.
Dude, I'm gonna call it right now. Insomniac dethrones Naughty Dog as the top.
If Spider-Man 2 hits and Wolverine, once we see actual gameplay, lives up to that, I will definitely agree with that one.
Yeah.
You know, it's do you? But let's I don't know where to go with this with these questions, but I guess let's start here. Do you think Insomniac is the one rumored to be working on this?
Possibly. Like, okay, so here's my thought process on this. They could be working on this, and if it being a PlayStation 5 exclusive, that means it is out of the window of the PlayStation 5 having trouble being produced. So if it is several years down the road, then yes, Insomniac could definitely be doing this, but it seems kind of premature with, you know, everything else, like you were saying, Spider-Man 2 coming out in a few years, then Wolverine right behind that. Makes me a little wary, but it being a PlayStation 5 exclusive puts time on their side. You know, it could be 7-8 years from now, but it's really early to have this sort of rumor. My other thought is this. We see someone like Sucker Punch take their shot at a Marvel game, because we've seen them do stuff like this already before.
With Infamous.
Yeah, with Infamous, they would be great at this game. And, you know, any Marvel stuff would be great with them, because they've made several Infamous games and they were all really fun to play. The powers were really great. The other there's one other that I would love to see because of the storytelling, and that is Naughty Dog. I would love to see Naughty Dog take a swing at it, or Santa Monica. Those are my thoughts.
That would be great too, because, you know, Santa Monica wanted to do some kind of space exploration, and, you know, maybe, and that got canned, and they went back to the drawing board with God of War. So maybe they take a shot with a licensed franchise in a Marvel property. I've got so many ideas swirling around in my head, right?
Yeah.
Because you know, I thought Naughty Dog as well. And to go back to the studio being over Baird, like, Naughty Dog has like 5 projects in the works. Most of them we don't even know about.
And
then again,
it might be one of those projects as well.
Maybe. But then it goes back to what we discussed earlier in the year about Sony, just instead of buying up so many studios to compete with Microsoft, they're just pretty much funneling money into their studios to help them grow. So they could be funneling money into Insomniac, and that's probably where most of the money for the acquisition went, is to just soup up their studio to have like 8 teams, maybe. Who knows? The other since it's a multiplayer game, my mind first went to a different team. Like, yes, Naughty Dog has done multiplayer. I know they did great with Last of Us Factions, and 2 is still like the factions for Last of Us Part 2 is still in the works. We know nothing of it. But a team that was cut their teeth in multiplayer first that I thought of was Guerrilla, because they're working on another project, and there's been speculation here and there that it's a multiplayer game. So, as a matter of fact, we get to a story later on. You know, it's one of these actually discusses a possible idea for that. So we'll see. Now, my other question is do you think, because it was an exclusive for Nintendo for the 3rd entry, do you think Sony does a Marvel Ultimate Alliance 4 exclusively on PlayStation?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I know the original Marvel Ultimate Alliance was an exclusive to Xbox.
Yeah, it eventually came to PlayStation, but I think it was a timed exclusive on Xbox first.
And
and they did get like an exclusive character.
Yeah, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 I'm looking up real quick to see.
I think it came to both same day.
Released 2009. Yeah, everything it came the same day. So I could see, maybe it was really weird that 3 was exclusive to Nintendo. But to your point, Gorilla would be great for this. Gorilla, with the multiplayer side of it. But I think we also got to look at it. It might not necessarily be multiplayer in the sense of what everyone thinks multiplayer is today. It could
Yeah.
be like co-op, us playing together instead of
Right.
fighting each other type deal. So
Right.
I think that might, because you look at Avengers, it's multiplayer. Marvel's Avengers is multiplayer when you really
Yeah.
get down to it. Maybe not that great at multiplayer, but it is multiplayer nonetheless.
Right. So,
But
um,
regardless, any studio that is under the Sony banner is going to be great.
yeah.
Like I would love to see Housemarque take a crack at it.
Oh, that would be really intriguing for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Marvel, a lot of the superhero action games love to pride themselves on flashy action anyway. So you couple that with Housemarque's arcade
Yep.
background, that would be fantastic.
Man, it would be so beautiful. Oh, it'd be so good. Speaking of Marvel Spider-Man 2 is kind of our Empire Strikes Back, says Marvel's vice president of games.
Yeah, so this one, I thought they just meant in terms of a sequel, but it seems they're going with Empire in terms of tone. Speaking during the latest episode of This Week in Marvel, Bill Roseman, vice president of Marvel Games, has likened the upcoming Marvel Spider-Man 2 to Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, in terms of its darker tone. If Marvel Spider-Man was Star Wars, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is kind of our Empire Strikes Back. It gets a little darker. It's the next big chapter. Marvel Spider-Man 2 was announced during Sony's State of Play broadcast. So that's intriguing to know because, there was that dark turn at the end of Empire Strikes Back where you didn't see it coming, I like it, and especially with the addition of Venom.
Yeah.
Like, you have to figure at some point, because I was listening to Kind of Funny this morning, and Greg Miller had this idea thrown out. Like, obviously, there's no merit to it. Take this with a mountain of salt. This is just him speculating. He said that actually, before I start this, spoilers for Spider-Man 2018. If you have not played it, turn this away for like 10 seconds. At the end of Spider-Man, we see Harry in a tube, that his father's looking at him with the symbiote attached. I think, the game starts off with, maybe not starts off with, but in the beginning, you fight Harry as Venom. Then you defeat him, the symbiote detaches, and then goes to Peter. And then you switch to Miles to pretty much fight off Peter and then get him. And then that's when that's when Venom goes to like Eddie Brock or what have you.
Okay, I could see that. But I feel like with symbiotes, like they try to find a stronger host and everything.
Right.
So I feel like we might not see Harry in the suit. And it would be kind of confusing, like going through the story. It's like, okay, the symbiote was on Harry, and now it's on Peter, and now it's on Eddie Brock. Like it kind of muddies the water a little bit.
Right.
But my take on this, if it is the darker, more, somber tone, somebody's got to die. Okay.
That's what was my next thing I was going to go to. Someone has to die. Like, again, 10 seconds. Spoilers for the end of Spider-Man 2018. You've been warned. Turn away. Aunt May died at the end of Spider-Man, and I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Like, how many iterations have we seen Spider-Man, and how many times have we had to see Uncle Ben die? Never Aunt May.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was an emotional moment. So this is my prediction here. We see Peter Parker die in this game.
And that was going to be my question was, do you think we see Mary Jane or Peter die in this?
I think we see Peter get killed in this, and then it pretty much sets up for the ultimate version of Miles Morales, which Peter does die in the ultimate, universe of that comic and everything, and
Yeah.
propels Miles to become an even better Spider-Man than he ever was. So I
Yeah.
could see that happening. Ock didn't die, did he? I can't remember.
No, he didn't die. He got arrested. I think his like arms got fried though.
Okay. So I could there's a ton of options and comic book lore going in my head that we could get like deep in the rabbit hole. But if it having
Yeah.
this somber tone, like something's got to happen to make it
Yeah.
feel that way. Like there's loss
At least
here.
on that level.
Yeah, or it's like we have a Han Solo and Carbonite moment where we're not sure
Yeah.
if Peter's going to make it, or we're not sure if Miles is going to make it, or whoever it may be that we get attached to. But hey, with Venom and potentially Craven, like
Yeah.
it's going to be crazy. It's going to be absolutely crazy.
So, not just one more thing, and we can continue. This is not so much to the story as it much as because it's open world. 2018 and Miles Morales were open world games. You can assume because we talked about it a week or two ago with Tony Todd mentioned that the game is even bigger than the last one. So, obviously, you can speculate it's going to be open world. Like I know we didn't get that many. Like the Sinister Six was the focus of the first game, with Mr. Negative also being like a side main villain type thing.
Mhm.
Do you think do you think we get more of the Sinister Six just because they didn't get a huge spotlight until the third act of the game as like side characters in Spider-Man 2, or do you think like basically what I'm getting is how many extra besides Craven and Venom do you think we get from his rogues gallery in Spider-Man 2?
I think if it is done well, we don't have to have a ton of villains to fill out
Right.
main story points. I'm fine with, us getting, some random, smaller bit villains that he's fought throughout the years. But I think,
Right.
we could get into Spider-Man 3 territory where there's too many villains and
Yeah.
everything. So I'm good with just even 2 seems like a lot, and we potentially are having Green Goblin in this as well with Harry and Norman Osborn in there. So
Maybe.
Oh, okay. This is also another possibility.
Okay.
Harry dies. Harry's the one that dies.
Oh,
and it completely destroys Norman, and that's what makes him turn into the Green Goblin.
Yep. And so that's great.
Yep.
So
Yep. And for somebody like it could be Spider-Man gets tipped off on something happens, and he blames Spider-Man for the death of Harry.
yeah.
Yep.
Now that also raises the question: is do we see that Norman finds out the identity of Spider-Man as Peter?
I don't know. We'll have to find out in the game.
We'll find out in a couple of years.
Yeah. Hold on to yourself, guys. And I agree, Dan. Miles Morales was great, but it did feel like it was a kind of
glorified DLC.
Yeah, DLC kind of stuff. So guys, let's move on to our next one here. God of War's Ragnarok was delayed due to Chris Judge having major surgery.
Yeah, so this was kind of like he kind of got in his feels on Twitter yesterday. I follow him on Twitter, and I actually looked at the whole story. He's the voice of Kratos from 2018, and is going to be continue his voice in Ragnarok. Kratos voice actor Christopher Judge has revealed that the release of God of War Ragnarok was postponed due to him having surgery and hip replacement. Speaking on Twitter, Judge was very open about the situation, revealing he was physically unable to walk in August 2019 and required major surgery and rehabilitation. He had nothing but huge praise for developer Sony Santa Monica Studio, though, who supported him through this recovery process. I need to be forthcoming. Quote, I need to be forthcoming. This has been approved by no one. To the beloved fandom, Ragnarok was delayed because of me. August 2019, I couldn't walk, had to have back surgery, both hips replaced, and knee surgery. They waited for me to rehab. No threats, no quote, "Who do you think you are? Nothing but love and support. And Sony Santa Monica has never said a word about the delay and what caused it. Studios are jerks, but this company from top to bottom should give us hope." So it was very, like, I didn't know, like, I want to know what happened that required all of that. And, obviously, when a game needs to be delayed for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
This is a rare thing where it's like the voice actor of a prominent game, of a main character
Yeah.
has to, like, can't work, and it's understandable. And, Sony has some crunch issues, mainly at
Mhm.
Naughty Dog, but for the most part, like, Sony has always treated their employees with great respect. If this is the news press that some places like Activision need to use,
Yeah.
but I didn't know all this. Like, I want to know what happened, what he did to do all this. But when it's your voice actor, you kind of, not to say Sony wouldn't have done it, but when he's the main voice actor for your game that won you tons of
Oh
awards,
yeah.
you kind of need to tamper to what he needs to do. And it doesn't talk about this in this article, but one thing he also added on Twitter yesterday, which I didn't know this, and I'm kind of glad Corey talked him off the ledge. We talked about how it's a studio's history with God of War to always change directors.
Yeah.
And Eric Williams is directing
The next
um,
Ragnarok.
the next one. When Corey broke the news to Chris that he was not directing it, Chris was like, "Well, I'm out. I
Man.
am done with this then." And Corey's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Do you trust me?" And Chris is like, "Implicitly." And he's like, "Eric's a freaking beast." And he's like, "All right." Then they started work on Ragnarok. And he's like, "I can confirm Eric's a freaking beast." So when I read that, my heart sank. I'm like, "Oh no, please!" Like, I'm
Man.
glad Corey worked his magic and talked him off the ledge. But can you imagine, like, after getting so much success, and then all of a sudden being like, "Nope, I'm out. I'm done playing Kratos." I'm like, "No, please no."
Yeah, like it would be like, oh, the old voice actor, like let's go beg him to come back or whatever,
Right,
But
right. It's like, "Oh, we promise you're not an afterthought, but we need you."
yeah, and I agree, Dan. It's awesome that Santa Monica not didn't just threaten and like, oh well, this is why it's being postponed or whatever. Like they didn't even mention anything. Like
No,
that
this
is
was of his own volition.
that is awesome. And just to see like the love and care for their actors, because a lot of places, Naughty Dog, there's others,
Well, even in the film and TV
Yeah.
industry too,
like it gets pretty bad. So like I'm that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Yes. So definitely like when I read this, I was like, "Oh, this is upsetting." But then when I read it, was like, "Oh no, this is like a negative turned into a positive."
Yeah.
I'm like, "This is what we need."
This is a feel good. It's a feel good story. Next up in our PlayStation news, Aloy's gear in Horizon Forbidden West will provide special benefits and skill, and also Horizon's multiplayer game could be in development, hence Guerrilla Games' job listing.
Yeah. So talking about special benefits and skills, n- blah, 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 blah. In the blog post, which revealed that similar to the first game, Aloy's gear will have special abilities for different situations. Now that we have a release date to focus on, Sony and Guerrilla are finally talking more about Horizon Forbidden West, which is great to see because we get good news like the fact that the same gear system players loved from in the first game will be back. But it's been improved for the sequel in that your gear will also have skills attached to it, which will be maximized for an even bigger boost to Aloy's abilities. The blog post also talks briefly about how Horizon Forbidden West features a brand new and improved skill tree, though we'll have to wait to find out more. So, the first thing that comes to mind is like, more of the recent RPGs that come out, specifically Assassin's Creed or like insert any JRPG or live service game that has gear. With the high, you always start at the bottom with the bottom tier gear that just improves your base stats. But then as you get more improved gear, like your blues, your purples, your golds, they come with special ability buffs.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would think of, because we only got real one armor set that gave you an overall like stat buff, and that was like at the end of the game, essentially. This also says to me that you can find armor sets like,
Mm,
greaves, boots, pauldrons, whatever, pants, whatever, you name it, that if you find all of these in the set, you get like an overall buff
yeah.
to your character. So that's what that says to me. But I also like how, I do like the fact that they're adding in special abilities. They're going more in with the RPG mechanics.
Yeah, and like that was one of the things that was kind of lackluster in the first Horizon was the gear, in my opinion. Yes, you were able to,
Right.
you have inserts or whatever, but it wasn't a lot to me. It's like I wore the same piece of gear for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So I
100%.
I'm glad that they're putting a little bit more. Hopefully it won't be like an Assassin's Creed or a Destiny where you wear it for 5 minutes and then you
Yeah.
get another piece
Another
another piece of gear
right.
that's better and you're like, oh well, I just poured in all these resources into this one and this one's already
Yeah.
better. So
Yeah, but at least with Gorilla, like it's or with a lot of RPG mechanics in the Sony games, they do let you take your time. Like I know God of War specifically,
mm,
you don't just type in your bunch of resources, but it's also if you take your time with it, like an RPG, and you actually see if it like, because if it's like a green piece of gear that gives you nothing, I'm not going to pour resources in
no.
it just to boost my stats even more. Now, if I get like a purple piece of armor that I really like the stat boost and like its benefits, like it does poison damage, I'm going to pour resources into that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Moving to the multiplayer
but
part.
yeah, so going into that, Guerrilla Games has posted job listings indicating it is working on a multiplayer entry in the Horizon franchise. The studio is looking to fill a number of roles, including a senior social systems designer, which is seeking individuals, quote, with a passion for player communities and social features to explore creative ways players can connect with others in game. You, quote, you will work within a core team of multiple designers, focused on social systems and player engagements and take charge to ensure quality feature delivery. Meanwhile, Guerrilla is also hiring for a senior game writer, which is looking for someone with extensive knowledge of stories and narrative design in open world RPG games, online games, and MMORPGs to develop mission, quest writing, and narrative design. VGC has also heard that Guerrilla Games has been wanting to expand into multiplayer for the Horizon franchise, although it has never officially confirmed anything outright. The site's sources claim that Horizon Zero Dawn was originally going to feature co-op, but this was ultimately cut from the final product. So this, we've seen a lot of different Horizon projects. Like I
Hmm.
know Fire Sprite is rumored to be working on Horizon, uh, um, Horizon, like VR game. There's been multiple projects, and um, it also coincides with Sony's thing into going into multiplayer exclusives and
Yeah.
like multiplayer centric games, like
Hmm.
obviously Last of Us, Uncharted, Killzone was one of the first ones to have multiplayer. Um, but I think they want to go more in depth. Like I've heard MMO being thrown around, and with them having a quest designer and narrative designer, I think they're going to go more of the MMO route. You expand upon your thoughts of what you
Okay.
think of this. I got to take a call real quick.
Okay. So for me, I like this would be very different if we did get like a Horizon Zero Dawn MMO, especially because like the world is very vibrant and lush and has like a lot of different factions. So if you could pick, okay, well, I'm going to be in this tribe or I want to be in this tribe, would be really different and cool. But at the same time, it's like you only have so much to do in the game. So I don't know how much depth we necessarily would get from a Horizon game. Now, going back to the point that Derek was making earlier was like, what if they're doing the Marvel PS5 game that the multiplayer game? Like, what if we're getting that instead of the Horizon? So I'm really, I think this might be a better way. Like if they did Marvel instead of Horizon, because there's so much more that you could do in a world that is like an MMO or even just an RPG. Like we saw some RPG elements from the Marvel Avengers game, but I think if you could create your own character, or like we're getting that with the new Marvel game that's fixing to come out, but it was very XCOM-y. So I'm curious to see where they go with this. If it is Horizon, I'm not sure how they necessarily would make this all work, because like the skill set that Aloy has in Horizon makes her very different. So I don't know how a multiplayer game would necessarily work in the Horizon world to make it, interesting and worth playing. But there are a lot of cool and different tribes and different kind of people in the game, so it would make it very varied, overall and everything. So
And obviously we don't know where, what the second game is going to involve.
mhm,
But just based on what the tribes we learned about in the first game,
yeah,
especially like I know in the Frozen Wilds we learned more about not the Nora, the Banuk.
yeah,
I would like to explore like other, of the factions that we met in Horizon Zero
yeah.
Dawn in this supposed MMORPG. It'd be even cool if you could pick, like you could create your own character and pick which faction you want to be on.
Yeah, and Dan makes a really great point. And with this new region, talking about in the new game, you can expect different tribes than the ones we already know that we saw in the first game.
100%, especially like the supposed enemy faction that can also override machines.
Yeah, they'd be dope. And I brought up also the point while you were on the phone call, that
Mhm.
they might also be making a Marvel game instead.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to earlier. Is like, who knows? Like, maybe it's a Horizon, maybe it's a Marvel game, maybe it's both.
Yeah, we don't really know. That's why it's a rumor. That's why
Exactly.
it's a rumor.
Rumor has it.
Moving on to some PlayStation quickies. I'll hit these and
That I'll take.
huh.
I'm about to say I could take
All
over
right,
this
take
one.
them, Derek. Do it.
So, starting off, Naughty Dog offers a brief update on the Last of Us multiplayer project. Says, "quote We're working on it." No, duh. Tell me something. I'm expecting Game Awards, but we'll see. Death Stranding Director's Cut features a terrifying PT Easter egg. It is the girl that follows you around. That creepily stalks you. She's in your shower. Fire Sprite has acquired. This is interesting. Fire Sprite has acquired the Persistence co-developer Fabric Games, who could be developing a new sci-fi horror title for PlayStation. So we have Sony's studios acquiring other studios now. It's crazy. Um, I wonder if they use some of Sony's acquisition money to be like, we want to buy this studio. But the Persistence, I think, was a VR horror game that did fairly well. Like it had great atmosphere. Like it was super creepy. Um, Sony, and speaking of acquisitions, today was the day. We've been, it got leaked early beforehand, and Sony quickly took that down. And now we've been wondering when are they going to make this official. Today is the day. Sony has officially acquired Blue Point Games.
What?
So, right. So it's I saw it on Instagram. I was Insomniac Game shared. It's like, welcome to the family. I'm like, oh, finally, they say something. New report claims Lucid Games, developers of Destruction All-Stars, is developing the Twisted Metal revival that we talked about, I think, last week. God of War Ragnarok allows Kratos to wield different shields, which will have defensive options and abilities. We saw a little bit about the different shields in New Game Plus, but it seems like they're going full-blown with this now in the sequel. And then finally, one for you, Zakaru. Ghost of Tsushima Legends has 2 new survival maps, with one, Twilight of Ashes, already out, and the other, Blood and Steel, based on Iki Island, dropping tomorrow.
One of these days. One of these days.
We'll get on Legends.
We'll get on Legends, and I'll finish Ghost. Maybe that'll be my Christmas present to me, is I platinum Ghost.
Right.
Man.
Oh, going back real quick to address Dan's comment, he says, I also think they may explore more about the events of Rost's past.
I'd like
that
that.
would be cool to explore too, because they never really talked about what he did.
Yeah, I'd like that.
So.
I want the characters around Aloy fleshed out a little bit more, because I felt like they weren't necessarily shallow, but we only got to a certain point. We didn't really get to dig much deeper,
Right.
It might also be because I restarted the game and then jumped to my save. So
Right.
who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
Guerrilla Games knows.
They do. Dan and apparently posted a theory in the Game Club channel, so I'll check that out.
Okay.
Derek, we got some quick hits to round out the show. So without further ado, let's do these quick hits.
Yep. So to start off, Mojang, the Minecraft creators, currently has at least 2 new Minecraft games in development, according to a new report. One of them is rumored to be a 2D version of Minecraft, or a Minecraft universe game. Wizards of the Coast staffing up for a new game set in the G.I. Joe universe. The Forgotten City comes to Switch via the cloud. Mod adds photo mode to Unreal Engine games that don't have it. Rumor, this next one's a rumor. New The Crew game leaked, codenamed Project Orlando, which is possibly set in Hawaii. Life is Strange Remastered Collection officially coming February 1st of next year. Fall Guys sets Guinness World Record as the most downloaded PS Plus game ever. And following that, Fall Guys adds Super Monkey Ball's Eye as the latest crossover costume. Spider-Man will have his own cutscenes and story missions when he comes to Marvel's Avengers on PS5 and PS4. Following that, the Claw Raid from War for Wakanda, from the War for Wakanda expansion, the raid that they're going to do around him will be unique, teases Crystal Dynamics. Following that, Marvel's Avengers comes to Xbox Game Pass today. Bastion will be wildly different in Overwatch 2. Resident Evil 4 VR coming exclusively to Oculus Quest 2 on October 21st. Stranded Deep brings co-op multiplayer in new update, which is out now. Super Monkey Ball's game director has an open world iteration in mind for the next game. Battlefield 2042 beta starts on October 8th and goes to the 9th, but early access starts on October 6th. Battlefield 2042 open beta won't have cross-play parties, but will have it for launch. Disco Elysium, the final cut, coming to Xbox consoles the same day as the Switch version on October 12th. Night School Studio, the developers of Oxenfree, was just purchased by Netflix. Outrider Studio to expand to AA games and new genres, and it aims to have 1 title release per year starting in 2024. I guess they're trying to compete with THQ Nordic. Xbox Series X and S are the first game consoles to support Dolby Vision gaming. The initiative teams with Crystal Dynamics to work on Perfect Dark. In-person Evo fighting game showcase canceled. Windows Store will soon let you download the Epic Games Store. And Valve could be working on a standalone VR headset. And finally, it's the end of the month, so that you know what that means. New free games for both Xbox and PlayStation their game lineup has been revealed. Starting with Xbox games for gold for October. The entire month you get Arrow, not Arrow with, like Green Arrow, but like Arrow AAERO, like Arrow Dynamic.
You failed the city.
You failed this game launch. Hover, it will be available from October 16th to November 15th. Castlevania Harmony of Despair will be available from October 1st to October 15th. And then finally rounding it out for Spooky Month, Resident Evil Code Veronica X will be available from October 16th through 31st. Then you got your PS Plus games for October. For the PS5, you get Hell Let Loose. And then on the PS4, you get Mortal Kombat X and PGA Tour 2K21. Strange that you don't get the XL version of Mortal Kombat, but whatever.
You're not extra large, Derek. You're just
you're right. I'm double extra large.
Egg's going to give it to you. Guys, there are the quick hits for this week. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Let us know what your favorite part was down in the comments. Fluffer Nutter, the Jackalope. I enjoyed it today. Make sure, guys, to hit the subscribe, hit the follow button, follow us on all the social medias, TikTok, YouTube, all those great places, and get your free 30-day trial of Audible over at audibletrial.com. Guys, this has been Zach.
And Fluffer Nutter under the Jackalope.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye.